Hi, and I'm back. I haven't worked on Squirrel's treasure box in a while, but I thought since today is rainy and kind of humid, that it might be fun to maybe work on this a little bit. Now I want Squirrel to fit in here like this, right? So underneath Squirrel out here is the treasure box. So what I may do is cut around would be to cut around the berries and Squirrel and just get rid of all the white edge like this. And you know, I'm trying to be a little careful but not excessively around these curves for the berries. Hopefully staying in the frame while I try to pay attention to what I'm doing. I have my scissors slanted a little bit. And I'm trying to just do a even downward cut just to pull it out. And I could take a alcohol marker or something and just go around these edges, and I might do that. I haven't really decided exactly what I want to do. And a pair of tweezers sometimes helps when you're just trying to get rid of these little pieces that you've cut. But I didn't get tweezers out, and I don't know. I think we're good. Okay, and I'm just doing a loose cut there around that leaf. Then I'll go back and smooth that up. Or tighten that up, I guess. And note that I'm turning the paper, not my scissors. My scissors are fairly steady. Okay. And I'm going to come back here, and I'm kind of going to cut around this little plant too. Again, moving the paper, not my scissors. Now I have to be a little careful because these little pieces I do not want to connect with a cut. That would be bad, because then they would be cut off. And that would be very bad. And I don't know if you want to see all of these little details, or if you want me to, would prefer that they were just fast forwarded through. I mean, I've heard a lot of people, and it seems like the majority of people say they wish that I would just show it all. And I mean, I can understand that sometimes, but I don't know. Cutting out is cutting out. there's that. I had a migraine yesterday, so I'm really struggling as far as finding words and stuff because I've got headache hangover. And I feel a little bit cloudy today. Cloudy with a chance of meatballs. That's me. I'm hoping not to cut this off by accident. It's probably really not a good day to work on this, except I feel like it. So, I hope everybody's been doing well and that you've been crafting or doing something that you enjoy doing or that you've been able to. July has been was kind of a tough month. I'm hoping August is a little bit better. Unfortunately, it looks like the July weather will continue for a while with its hot and humidness and rain. I should probably have a little pair of manicure scissors or something right now to do this, but I will persevere. Get that off my finger so I can get in here and maybe pull this up this way and see where it's connected. There. Okay, that's not too bad. Take those off my picture and pull this over so you can see the cut that I did is right here. So I cut this leaf loose and then this little part here. And then we'll figure out, let's see, that would lay there. So I may cut this part off too. I'm going to cut all the way off in front of Squirrel. And the way I do it is I just kind of cut it back in manageable pieces. And moving my paper, not the scissors. Trying to stay on the right side of the dark lines. Pardon my phone. Sounds a little busy today. But it is Friday. So I guess all the pre-weekend updates are happening. There is a craft show in southern Vermont at a place called Camelot Village, and I am thinking I would like to go over there this weekend, but I don't know. It's supposed to rain today and tomorrow, and we have flood warnings throughout the whole area. But it is supposed to be nice on Sunday, but it's supposed to be 90 degrees and hot and humid. So, I am not a fan of hot and humid. That's usually one of the big triggers for my migraines. Okay, I couldn't see that. I'm sorry. Let's see if I can show you coming up around his little chest fur. He has one little whisker that hangs down below his chin. Thank goodness, these lines are a little thick, so I think I can get around. Not sure. Let's see if I can do them like this. This is gonna be iffy. Although I did just have an idea. I don't know. We'll see. Are you holding your tongue just right? Or holding your breath? I find I hold my breath, which makes it, as I've said before, incredibly hard to talk and do a video and this at the same time. All right, let's see. Right now I'm just trying to get a hold of the plain white pieces, that little strips that I've cut, and kind of pull them out. Can you see his little whiskers there? Ah, where are you? There you are. So I'm going to come back over here, try to do the same thing without ripping out the black whiskers. Okay, let's see. There's a little one here. Didn't get it though. Trying to get in between them. There it goes. Okay. So I kind of got his whiskers. I may have to go over them a little bit more. There. Okay, so there's the front upper part of Squirrel. Kind of the harder part, I guess, because I got his whiskers okay. Now I want to come down around this acorn. And kind of cut this part off. And turn it around a little bit. I'm just going to come down through here. Take a little extra long and then go back up. And try to follow the line that way. I think I need to cut some of this off here above these grass fronds so that I can see what I'm doing in there better. Pull that off. I'm going to turn it back around and go back this way. Okay. Now I could use a X-Acto knife and a self-healing cutting mat and go along these lines too. Whatever's easier for you. As always, whatever's easier for you. Okay, just take this off. Well, so I need to cut that back up in that slant. There. Okay. And let me come and do this leaf a little more. Okay. And then I think I'll go down this side. Go up around that little bump right there. And for that, I'm just going to go take out some of these little berries, or the white around the little berries. And then I will just go down this grass frond. Still turning my paper. Still holding my breath. Turning the paper. Remember, I traced this squirrel from another page and I went over these in black lines, and I also added in a few things just mimicking Joanna's style, or somewhat. So none of this is really written in stone. There's no coloring police, there's no drawing police, there's no cutting out police. Let's see, I'll take out more of this. And I think I'll go back the other way. Try to leave my tip. And go back that way. There. And I'm just going to go down here. Okay. Now, these fronds actually touch each other, but I think I'm going to cut them apart and come down here and take out this white part here. I take shortcuts with my scissors, cuts, and I turn my paper. And I take my time. And right now I don't have much to hold on to. There it goes. Right down there. And this little section right in here, I do have my X-Acto knife. And right now I'm looking for my cutting mat, because I don't have one here with me. But you know what? This is where this cutting mat could come in handy too. I usually use this between my pages, but I'm just going to do light scoring, and maybe I'll put this folded up piece of paper in between my mat and my knife, just so I don't get too deep of a score line on it. And all I'm doing is drawing my knife, little pressure, but kind of lightly. If I have to make a couple of passes, it's better than ripping my paper when I don't want to rip it. All right, here's a second pass. All right, now I'm going to turn it over. I don't know if you can see where the knife mark is here. Just using the tip of my blade so I can get under it a little. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to follow back over that cut line. Excuse my finger if it's in the way. I'm going to try not to cut my finger. But I mean, the score line is probably deep enough from the other side that my blade is staying fairly well inside the mark. There. I'm just going to push it. There it goes. And then I can just hold the tips and pull it out. So, and there is my cutout on the front part of Squirrel. So now if I lay him down against this page, you can kind of see how he fits in. There's a frond of grass here that comes up, and this leaf kind of fits down on it pretty well. And then the grass goes up along the front, and this nut goes into the top. So I'm pretty happy with the way he's going to fit on the page. Let's see. Let me cut this out too. Let me put this here because I don't really want to put score marks on my cutting mat, because this isn't a self-healing one. It's just a kitchen type of flexible cutting mat. And I think I bought it on Amazon. Pretty much for coloring in my coloring book, so my pages don't stick together if I go to the edge. Yep, so I'm just going to cut this leaf out as best I can. Okay. Turn it over. Can I see it? Yeah, I can see it. It's not pushing though, so let me just go from this side. And just go along here. Along here. Try to get my leaf sections cut. Okay, that part came out. There's just a little bit down here. Just scrape it back with my blade. Kind of pull it out. There. Okay. And I just want a little bit back here to hook to the book. So let me cut this back and see where I want it to go. Think like that. And then I'm going to cut this out too. I'm actually cutting out a lot more of this than I really expected to, but I like it. And that's what this is all about, doing what you want to do any way you want to do it. And for anyone who says they are not artistic, they can't draw, they are no good at coloring, well, you know, stuff like this, like everything else in life, whether you're a rocket scientist or a janitor, to be good at anything that you do, you need to do it regularly. And you need to practice it and keep at it. And I think that in time, every single one of us can do anything that we want to do. Just need to persevere. And if at first you don't succeed, try again. Right? Doesn't matter how many times you fall off the horse, it just matters how many times you get back on. It's funny how we tell people they fail so quickly when in reality we just haven't finished trying. I mean, there are things in life where, yeah, there's no do-overs. If you mess it up, you're done. However, art and coloring and this kind of stuff is not one of those things. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Got some of my cuttings off of my mat and remove my mat. Now I'm not done decorating Squirrel. I would like to give him a little glitter because he kind of looks like a steampunk squirrel to me, even though he does have vegetation. And I do want to add a little shadow to him. As far as the bottom greenery goes, I don't want it to be a white connection into the book per se. So let me move this and pull him down here. And this is a Copic Chow marker. It's a yellow green, and it's Mignette. YG11. And I'm just taking my brush tip, and down here where it is still white, this is a very light green color, I am just putting in a little bit of light green where it still looks kind of white. Because his forest is green, not white. If there's winter, the white might work out. Just put a little blue shading in there, and it would be all good. I'm just doing some large circular strokes because this I'm just trying to get the color down. Okay. It goes through a little bit, but that's okay. Right now I'm just going over my edges that I maybe didn't cut close enough. You know? Hides kind of the white. And if you notice, I did just darken up these leaves a little bit by going over them. I think I'm going to do a little bit up here too around his whiskers. Makes his whiskers kind of stand out a little. There. And it's a light enough green that it doesn't really interfere with the color of the squirrel. So there's that. And then I might take, I don't know, a darker green. Not that dark. apple green. That's G14. So this isn't a yellow green, this is an apple green. And again, I'm going to use the brush tip. And this one I'm just going to come down here. And this time I'm just going to stay kind of in the darker area. Well, actually, let me just come up here and outline that squirrel some. Okay, and then while that's wet, I'm going to go in with emerald green. Hit and miss, I mean, come back down into here. I'm just making this a bit darker, that's all. Because remember, that's all going to hook into the page. Doesn't have to be smooth. Let's see. This is pine tree green. Probably kind of appropriate for a forest. Might be a little too dark, but we'll see. This I'm just making some marks with. And then, let's see. Let's see what that is. I do have a Prismacolor blender a Copic blender somewhere. But I'm going to use my Prismacolor because it's the one I pulled out. So, Prismacolor blender, if I can get the top off. That's the chisel tip, it'll work. And all I'm going to do is go over this green a little bit just to spread it out. Or take the edges off maybe. Because I do want it to look kind of woodsy, kind of like the background of my page turned out. Might be removing a little too much of the green. I'm just going to pull a piece of paper back here to make sure I have all the color off that blender. Alright, then I'm going to go for another yellow green. And this one is New Leaf Green. It's YG23. Back to my brush tip. And I'm just going to come down through here and do this. Small circular strokes just over everything. And that is pretty much all I'm going to do to that. That is enough. Although, I think I'm going to take some of this brush tip of the pine tree green. I'm just going to add it to my little leaves there just to darken them up just a little bit. So Squirrel is all colored on the front. But what I'm going to do now is take some diamond stickles, and I may highlight his little tail here. Now for that, I'm just going to squeeze some out onto his tail, and then I'm just going to rub the tip of the nozzle and just spread it out. And I'm not being terribly careful. And you can do whatever you want to do. And let's see, I may do some here and here and there. I may come down here where I colored this silver and put some in there. And then maybe put some just here. Maybe a little there. Some more there. Maybe this should sparkle too. And I may put some in on the treasure box too, before I'm done with this. But I wanted Squirrel to sparkle a little. And then, let's see. I might take some puff paint, some black puff paint, and put it there on his nose and maybe a little bit on his whiskers. I don't know. But it's just some of the stuff you could do. Like you could take some gold stickles and give him some gold in the grasses. I had thought about taking some leaves and cutting them out and making it like 3D effect. Now maybe over here on his berries. Let's see, that was diamond. Here's some crystal. Now you could also take puff paint and make these berries puff up. Let me go get some. I'm back. Bear in mind, these are the puffy paints that I'm talking about, and I haven't used some of these in years. But I have these in my stash, so I'm going to try them here. One thing that you need to remember when you're using things like this puff paint is to always try it on a scrap paper before you use it on your project. So, like I said, I'd like to do his nose in black. This is a tulip matte, and it's basic black. So, I'm going to just squeeze some out, and there's no air bubbles. So I'm just going to come over here and put some on his nose. Trying to keep my fingers out of the stickles that I've already put on here. Okay, so there is his nose. Let me lift that up so maybe you can see it. So his nose has a little dimension. And I'm sure that you've probably got stuff in your stash that you haven't used in years. This is a perfect time to get it out and work with it. Now this is a Aegean blue, and this is a great grape. And then I have a avocado color. And this is actually folk art, high definition visual texture acrylic paint, and it's in a color called Forest Moss. So, oh, and I have another purple, and it's the same. It's the folk art high definition, and this is in a lavender. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to look at these berries, and I have no idea how old this one is. It's looking a little old. Let's see if it works. In the tube it feels kind of stiff, so this one may not be any good. Feels like yeah, this one's dried up. That's too bad, because I was kind of looking forward to that one. That's a trash. And that's another thing about using stuff you haven't used in a long time. You can sort through your stash and weed a little bit out. These tulip ones go for a long time though. So here's some blue. It's called Aegean Blue Tulip Matte. And I do have some blue pieces in here that of these berries. So I'm just gonna give them a little texture. One thing nice about adding a little tag to a coloring book page is you can try all kinds of things out. So there's the blue. And you could stop and go do something else and come back and give it a chance to dry and harden, because these will pretty much stay in that shape. Here, we'll try the lavender. Again, scrap piece of paper. Oop. Yeah, it works. Try not to get it all over myself. And then I would just put a few spots of this on. And I don't have to fill up the whole thing. I mean, it's okay for some of it to be flat. Just kind of gives it texture. And you don't really want the little bumps. You can turn it, you can pick it up. I'll show you in a second. Because sometimes they get those little Hershey Kiss tops on them. And if you don't want that, wipe the tip off a little. You can pick it up. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see what I mean. It's got like these little tips, little pointy tips. But if you pick it up, and you could use your scissors or your finger, just tap it a little bit. And it makes it even out a little. So those are my berries. And I do have these greens. So I could, making sure it works, I could go over like this berry top with my avocado green, and anything else that you might want to stand out a little bit. Right now that's good for me. Well, maybe I'll make this little leaf in the background poke out just a little. And then this is avocado. This is color point. And like if you've cut and you have any places that could like break off because you cut them rather close, you could reinforce them with something like this too. Ooh, this one's dripping. Oh, I didn't test it, see? And that's why you always want to test it. And sometimes things like this happen for a reason. Is because if you haven't used it for a while, things happen. So now I'm just trying to get all the loose liquid out of it. There it goes. And well, maybe it goes. Usually you don't shake these because you don't want to put the air back in them. And once this dries, I'll take something and wipe that. Or maybe I'll do that off camera. So anyway, so we've got this little avocado here. And so I'll come up through here and maybe just put a little bit of a tint on these just to stiffen them with the acrylic color. That was a little light for in there, but that's okay. So, and this is a white. Let me test this. This is a larger container of it. So here I have all of this white here. And maybe I want to make this look a little more like fur. I'm trying not to cover up all the dark lines so it still shows. And I'm trying to give it a little bit of a, put a couple of little ridges in just to make it look like fur. There. So that is Squirrel. Now I have to let him dry because I can't touch that puff paint now until it sets. And it will dry into like a hard plastic. And then I will come back and we will hook him into my coloring book. So I will be right back. Okay, well, he is all dry, and it's the next day. I let him dry overnight. And there's a lot more I could do with him. I think that what I'm going to do is give him a little bit of rounded texture. I had been thinking about putting him on a piece of like the tracing paper, because on the back of him you can kind of see like some of the green went through. And I was thinking that's okay, because then later on, if I feel like it, maybe I'll do something else with it. I will say that the berries are kind of dull. So let me show you. After I had put this aside yesterday, I looked at his little eye. And I don't know if you can see it in this light, 'cause it's really dark here right now. It's very gray. Got downpours going on outside. But I found some plaid gallery glass. Try to get the glare off it. And this is crystal clear, and it gives the look of a stained glass window if you were doing like a window project. But you can use it on paper. And what it did was it gave his little eye a domed shape, and it's clear now. So I thought that was kind of cool. Now the black I used was matte, and I may actually put some crystal clear on his nose and on these berries. But I think for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some texture, just put some rounded texture in different parts of him, and we'll connect him to the page. And then later I'll go and I'll put some of the glossy clear stuff on other parts. So just a second, let me get my mat and my okay, this is just an old mouse pad, and there's my squirrel and my ball stylus. Really not hard. I'm just going to decide where I might want him to be a little rounded. So I'm going to take the larger end of my tool and just go into his tail, like right here, and push down a little bit. On the back side, I'm kind of staying away from the edge a little bit. And I'm just going to make his tail puff up a little bit. And I just put a piece of tracing paper under it, just so if any of the glitter or anything from the other side goes onto the paper, not into my mat. Not that it matters, because I do have some glitter. It's hard to craft and not have glitter everywhere. Okay, let me see. And it just gives it a little bit of a rounded shape. And I think I'm going to do the same thing to like above his eye. Maybe his little nose, which I am going to come back. I'm just using a smaller ball around his nose. And then above his eye. Maybe his ears. And then maybe this acorn needs to be a little puffy. Really all you're doing is breaking up the fibers in this paper and kind of debossing it. Okay, I don't know if I can do it to the berries because it's got that plastic stuff on it. So anyway, that's what Squirrel looks like right now. And I'm going to take some clear and put over his nose and the berries. And I'll show you what that looks like. Again, this is gallery glass. It's plaid. I don't even know if they make it anymore. This is old. It's crystal clear. And I'm going to test it before I use it because I don't want like big blobs of something bad. Okay, may have to take a pin and clear it because I didn't really clean it yesterday before I put it away. I have this wooden skewer. I'm going to try it with this. Or I'm going to have to go find a pin. Yeah, looks like I'm going to have to, let's see. I should have a pin. Oh, there's a pin. I use one of my fancy counting pins I make. I make these for cross stitch. They're just beaded 3-inch pins. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, and I'm just going to leave it like that. Maybe I'll put a little bit here, and a little bit here. And then maybe these little, see? Okay, so trying to clear the nozzle a little bit, put the cap back on. So I have to let this dry and then I will hook it into the coloring book. Okay, I'm back and it's the next day and the clear gallery glass is all dry and it's looking pretty good. I like it. I don't know if you can see the glass-like shine on the berries and the acorn cap and the little pieces on the squirrel, but it looks really kind of sparkly. So what I've decided to do, this is just a piece of deli paper, is I'm going to turn him over and I am going to use some all-purpose acrylic paint. This is Anita's and it's in leaf green, and I'm just going to do a coat of paint over the back of my squirrel just in dry brush. Let it dry and then he will be ready to hook into my coloring book. A lot of work for a coloring book, isn't it? But it's fun because it's the difference between adult coloring and a child's coloring. There's all the additional things that you do. Although I think when I was a kid I used to do some extra stuff like spirographs and all kinds of things in my coloring book. Right now I'm just trying to do this without going underneath my piece and getting paint on the front. Although if that happens, it's just a design opportunity. Not the end of the world. It is, after all, a coloring book. So I'm just going to brushing towards the outside edges, just so I'm not going underneath any more than I have to, or that happens, I guess, not that I have to. This has been fun. I've really enjoyed playing with this picture, seeing what else I can do with it. And I hope it's inspired you to try some different things on your own. But hey, if all you have are crayons, that used to be all we needed, was crayons. You can melt crayons, you can shred crayons, you can reform crayons, you can do all kinds of things with crayons. So, if the urge strikes you to do something different and you have crayons, go for it. See how far you can stretch crayons, or colored pencils, or markers, or paint a picture. There. Now I just have to let this dry and get it into my coloring book. Maybe I'll use my heat tool. Now I do have the gallery glass on the front, so I have to be careful not to get it too hot so that that stuff doesn't remelt and get sticky. Now that's probably still a little bit tacky, which is okay, because I think what I might do is take a little bit of this burnt sienna. Ooh, that sounds loose, doesn't it? And I just want a little bit of this. I don't need a whole lot. Just a couple drops there in the corner. See if I can show it to you, just right there. I'm just going to put a little on the tip. And maybe do just a few smudges like that. And you just kind of wipe over it a little in different directions. And there's still a little green in this paintbrush too, because I haven't rinsed it. This is all still real time. And then maybe, let's see, what else? Maybe a little bit of this Butter Pecan by Folk Art. Maybe. This one looks a little dry, so maybe what I'll do is just take the tip of the brush and take some out and put on my craft mat, and then do just a few light strokes of this. some more of the green going in it. It's just kind of making this look like the background on the coloring page, where I kind of brought in where it looks like twigs and shadows and leaves and things like that. And you can take that to whatever degree you want. I was thinking it would be kind of fun if I had a metallic gold, but what I have is this metallic glaze and it's a bronze color. So, if I can get it open. There it goes. Then I'm going to just take a little bit of that on the paintbrush. Just a little. And maybe put a few little leaf marks in like that. Make them glow a little bit on the back. There. Just kind of blending it in, a few extra little strokes. Not being too careful about it at all. Kind of looks like a scrambled up. But then as it dries and you kind of step away from it, it looks more like forest shadow background. So I'll use my dryer a little bit. Probably overdid it a little because I've got the plastic on the acorn, on his eye, and on those berries in various places on his body. So hopefully he didn't stick too badly. Oh, I ripped off those extra little pieces on the bottom. Yeah, the plastic is kind of sticking. I probably should let it cool off, but hey, who am I to let it cool off, right? Yeah, see the plastic that was on the grass fronds peeled up. So I am just going to take this off. And I'll just take my paintbrush and get a little more green and just go over these in the front. And I'll just take a black pen after it's dry and highlight that, and that's no big deal. Just let me okay. Yep, that's dry. And then I just need a black pen. This is a Copic. I'm going to use the brush end. And let me just close that. I get mess all over me. I will just kind of go up this way and re-outline the grass. And that kind of puts it back into the same realm anyway. Okay, so then I will pull my coloring book back in. Joanna Basford's Enchanted Forest. Now I could make a folded strip to attach this to the page, and that would kind of make him, when you pulled him up, it would lift him out away. And that would be one way of doing it. But to be honest, what I think I'm going to do is pull this down to where my berries are kind of leaning against the bottom of the treasure chest, and the squirrel is putting the nut into the box. I clean up my paint a little bit so I don't drag my book through it. There. Okay. And then I'm just going to use some washi tape. Now normally when I use washi tape, I will put a little bit of glue down and then the washi tape, because washi tape really isn't sticky enough. So let me see. Just looking to see if I have any glue here. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to use my Dries Clear adhesive, my art glitter glue. And for that, I'm going to just take and do, well, I think I'm going to take that metal tip off and just use the tip of the, there. Just going to put a line of glue here. And then I'm just going to attach some washi tape. And I will cut that. And then I will put a little more glue on the back side of this washi. Whoops. Not too much. Did not mean to put that much on there. Get a paper towel. I never work on stuff without my paper towel. Okay, I'll drag my clear mat in here. And then I'm just going to spread the glue. And I will wipe it pretty much off the tail. I'll just try to keep it on the washi tape. And then put this back where I want it. And I think it's going to go a little bit into this page here, but that's okay. So let me get the front edge where I want it. And then I will just push this in like this. And then the glue just has to dry. Make sure there's not any extras that'll impact the book after the pages have been closed a little while. And pick him up and make sure he flips up. Wipe up any spare glue. And I'm going to take and trim my washi tape there at an angle. And I don't know if you can see it, but you see how the washi tape goes past my squirrel here? all I'm going to do is take my scissors. Let's do this left-handed to see how it works. And I'm just going to cut diagonally in towards the squirrel and then just lay that down on a page, because that washi tape blends in somewhat. And then there's the squirrel, and there he is as a flip. And let me turn him around so you can see that. I'll flip him down and turn my book around. Make some room here. So there is Squirrel's treasure box. And Squirrel flips up. And he actually has a nice solid dark place that I could put my name and the date that I finished it. And when he flips down, he's putting another nut into his treasure box for the winter. And I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it gave you an idea. You could make a whole story, an extra story out of your color books, just by adding characters to the pages. So there is the squirrel stocking his larder for winter, or for any other thing that comes along. And I hope that you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. As always, I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe, and that your life may be very colorful. Thanks for watching.